there. Welcome to episode 167 of the WaveBack Music Podcast. My name is Kris.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to listen to the most interesting video game music there is. As has become tradition around here at the WaveBack Podcast, every October we focus on the music of a different Castlevania game in chronological order. This time we're cracking our whips at an often overlooked entry in Konami's classic vampire-killing franchise, and one that didn't find its way to North America until well after its initial release overseas. Watch out for trees being struck by lightning, because tonight we listen to the music of Akumajo Dracula for the Sharp X68000. 1,000? X0... Yeah, 1,000. I read that right.
68,000. I was like, why the big pause?
No, I'm looking at that number. It's just not computing in my head. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the WaveBack Music Podcast. I feel like there should be more to my script here, but nope. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, how you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm living the dream over here. I know at the end of the last episode we said we'd be listening to Rondo of Blood, but I miscalculated. Rondo of Blood is the next one. I missed Akumajo Dracula for the Sharp X68000. I know, how dare I.
Wait till the Council of Video Game Music Podcasters hears about this.
Not being dragged before the council again. I swear.
They're going to say things like, Randazzo! Put your mic and your badge on the table. You're suspended.
I play by my own rules.
Get out of my office.
Put on some sunglasses. I podcast by my own rules. Hey guys, what's new and exciting in the world of Matt? How you doing? Are you excited for it to be spooky season?
Oh, absolutely, because spooky season means a lot of things to me. My birthday, Halloween, the leaves, jackets. I love it.
Yeah, hoodies, good times.
Yeah, absolutely love a good hoodie.
I'm just waiting for the weather to calm down over here. It's been super rainy and windy, so we can set up the outdoor Halloween decorations. Hasn't really been amenable to that yet.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Karen likes to get them up last week of September. She'd put them up all year round if she could, but I usually drew a hard line at first week in October. Like, once October 1st hits, then you're allowed to go full-on spooky season. But my daughter is really into them, and her birthday is October 1st, so all right, let's have the Halloween decorations up before your birthday party. So that's the plan. Well, I guess we should probably get started, huh? We've got some music to listen to for the old Sharp X68000, a platform we're both intimately familiar with, for sure.
I can talk hours about my Sharp X68000 computing console, but it's not what we're here for.
Well, Matt, hit us with some history.
Akumajo Dracula was released in Japan in July of 1993 for the Sharp X68000 computer. It is effectively yet another version of the original Castlevania for NES, whose story has now been retold in Vampire Killer for MSX and Super Castlevania 4 for the Super NES. As such, it features many of the same level types seen in those games, except with added effects, complexity, and difficulty. You play as Simon Belmont, who in this game features more maneuverability than in his NES iteration, but not quite as much as his Super Nintendo version. While few outside of Japan have ever played this game on its original hardware, it was re-released on PlayStation in October of 2001 as Castlevania Chronicles, where Simon inexplicably had pink hair, like you do. This game only saw a somewhat limited release, and its physical iteration has become a rather expensive collectible.
This game's music is credited to the Konami Kokiha Club and Sota Fujimori, though it's difficult to tell exactly who did what on each song. Some are rearrangements of classic Castlevania tunes, while others are originals. The Konami Kokiha Club is a group of musicians who have been making music for Konami games since the 80s. Its members have changed many times, making it rather difficult to determine which iteration of the group created the music for this specific game. As for Sota Fujimori, he has a number of specific game credits, including a number of games in the DDR series, Neo Contra, and Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Matt, do you have any personal history with this specific Castlevania game?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay.
I am the best podcast guest ever.
You're not a guest. You're host. This is your show.
I know, but I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts as a tool to stop my procrastination, and I think it's funny when there's podcast guests and they're just like, no.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, have you even heard of this one before? Is this all news to you, or?
The name. How do I explain this? So I sort of know of this game. I know that there was a Japanese version. I didn't know to the extent of what the storyline was. Apparently, it's very much part one, and that really kind of is it. That's really what I know of it. I'm not well versed in it. I mean, I have like the collection, the first collection that came out, and I don't think it's on there, is it?
It is not. No.
Yeah, so that's definitely why I don't know it. And of course, I've been an American my whole life and ignorant to everything else other than anything American. So that's where I draw the line. No. Yeah, so I really have no familiarity with this.
I first heard about this game myself when it released on PlayStation. I was only tangentially aware that a platform called the Sharp X68000 even existed.
I'm only laughing because we had such a conversation about the name.
Yeah, I was completely unfamiliar with it, but after the success of Symphony of the Night, I guess I remember working at Funcoland and this Castlevania Chronicles showed up. It's like, I don't know what this is, but sure, I'll give it a whirl. And it's a really good game. I'm glad I picked up the one copy my store had. I think we wound up getting another, like maybe 2 or 3 copies total. Like throughout its entire run. This game's a heck of a collector's item right now. I mean, geez, what is it going for in the aftermarket these days? Let's see. What does Game Eye say for my?
Now this is Chronicles you're talking about, right?
Chronicles, correct. Which is to Akumajo Dracula is the name of Castlevania, the original Castlevania in Japan. So let's see.
Yeah.
Where's all my Castlevanias at? NIA Castlevania. So let's see. Yeah, it's only 137. I really thought it was more than that. Not that 137 is a low number.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, I might have a Funko Pop that's like $175, but like a video game, I think makes more sense to me to be $175. So 137 is nothing to shake a stick at.
You know what's funny though is that I really thought that was going to be higher. It's the 9th most expensive Castlevania game I have.
The 9th?
I have 8 more expensive than that.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, you're a very big collector, so it makes sense.
True, but it's just like wild to me how many Castlevania games are more expensive than Castlevania Chronicles, which is just a legit rarity. Like, the Game Boy Advance games are all 3 of those more expensive than that? Where's the third one?
Yeah, because now the listeners want to know what the most expensive Castlevania game in your collection is.
All right, well, let's see. So Castlevania Chronicles is currently listing at $137. Harmony of Dissonance is at $150. Bloodlines for Genesis is $166. These are complete in box prices.
Okay.
Super Castlevania 4 is at $184.
Wow.
Aria of Sorrow for GBA is up to $209. This is surprising. The first Castlevania for NES is up to $216 complete in box.
Wow.
I had no idea that had gone up that much.
Does it have out of curiosity, does it have a price for just cart?
Cart only is $25. Good lord, it's just the box and the manual.
Yeah.
What makes it worth so much. Wild.
Yeah.
Castlevania Legends for Game Boy. This one's always been expensive. I only have it... Oh, the price is just updated. Now Chronicles
like as you're reading it?
As I was reading it, the price just updated. So now Chronicles is at $135. So it just jumped over Harmony of Dissonance.
All right,
so
well,
funny.
That was exciting.
My loose plus, so I have Castlevania Legends for Game Boy, but I have the game and the manual. I don't have the box. That one goes for $285.
What?
Castlevania Legacy of Darkness for N64 complete in box is $402.
Which one? I'm sorry, say that again?
Legacy of Darkness for N64.
Oh my god, okay.
That's a legit uncommon game. That's another one that's always been
I don't think I've ever heard of that one either.
It's not great.
I remember
Castlevania for N64 is better than people give it credit for, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
That one's only worth $74, complete in box. But my big one here, complete in box, Castlevania Dracula X for Super Nintendo. Take a guess.
666.
$1,200. Absolutely bananas.
That's more than I pay in rent. That's a rent payment.
Holy cow. And you'd think that I would be like, yeah, I should sell that. I should get those $1,200, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
I get it. I definitely get it because we're talking about moving and we're both talking about, all right, let's really pare down the junk we have. And my first thought is, let me get rid of some of these Funkos, and I look at the prices and I'm like, oh man, this could really go and help the moving effort. And I'm like, but I don't want to get rid of it. I like it a lot.
I bought it because I liked it. This isn't one that I got later on. This is my copy of Dracula X from when it came out. I rented it, thought it was amazing, went to the store and bought it. This is my copy from when I was a kid. So I couldn't let that go.
Nah,
I wouldn't want to let any of my Castlevanias go. The least expensive Castlevania I own would be Lords of Shadow for Xbox 360 for a whopping $11.
I may have paid $9.99 digitally to play that. Because I definitely have that one.
I don't think I'm missing that many Castlevania games. I think I actually have most of them.
There. Well, that was a fun trip to the Blue Book.
Yeah, that was a good time. But we should probably go listening to some music. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So let's dive into this game's weird track names.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
These are the track names from the official release of this soundtrack, we got a decent number of tracks ahead of us tonight. We're gonna do our first is called Something Loopy. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's from.
I knew a girl like that.
This is when it's doing your name entry. So it's a short song, good 34 seconds long. Here is Something Loopy from, I'm just going to say Castlevania Chronicles because I'm not very good at saying Akumajo Dracula. So we're just going to say Castlevania Chronicles, even though that's not accurate because this is the actual music from the X68000 release and not the PlayStation release, which had slightly updated audio. Fine. This is Something Loopy from Akumajo Dracula for the Sharp X68000. Enjoy. Well, it certainly did loop.
Yeah.
I have to assume that's what loopy means.
They're like, we need a name for this. And the guy's like, I don't know, something loopy. They're like, brilliant, okay, anyway.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I liked it, though. I really liked its depth. I like how it felt. I talk all the time about the reverb giving things, faux 3D and stuff. It felt really, it felt good. It felt full and even though it's a small bit of music for probably a very tiny part of the game, selecting your name or whatever, it felt big. It felt daunting too. Like, oh, this is like the pensive part before the calm before the storm, so to speak. I liked it.
Right. Very, very nice, eerie Castlevania sounds, and also since this is a platform I'm not overly familiar with, it's really neat hearing what kind of instrumentation this system is capable of. I haven't really listened to this music before because you can play the original version on the PlayStation game, but I played through the PlayStation version of it just because it was. I think the difficulty was leveled out so that it's not quite as insane as apparently the original version's like stupid hard. So And I just liked the graphics. As ridiculous as it was, Simon's pink hair was just neat looking. So it's was what it was. So I'm excited to hear where this goes from here and how this all sounds. So moving on to the next track is, well, it's the Castlevania track. It's this game's version of Vampire Killer. It was used for Stage 1, seeing as this is effectively a remake of Stage 1 of the first Castlevania game. I remember very specifically that there are trees in the background that get struck by lightning and then burst into flames, and have a very 16-bit scaling and rotation, almost Mode 7-ish looking thing where they fall down, which was kind of neat. So I'm always into iterations of Vampire Killer. It's a fantastic song, so let's give it a listen. Enjoy. Wow, that was Vampire Killer from Akumajo Dracula for X68000. What a wow! that was surprising. Geez, that's probably the most dynamic version of that song I've ever heard.
I agree 110%. I'm a huge fan of that song. It's probably one of my favorite songs ever composed for a video game system ever. But that version really took it to another place. Probably the best possible way.
Oh, hard to agree. I love the original version of Vampire Killer. God, we did that, 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's a long time
It's
ago.
been a long time since we done the original Castlevania, but the version in the original Castlevania is so perfect because it has energy, but it's so quiet, right? It's got this really, you're a small person in a very big mansion, kind of really quiet nature to it. And I've heard this song reinvented dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Really big and heavy and fast. But this goes up and down really well. Like when it goes to the second, first off, it repeats the main it repeats that an extra 2 times, right? Usually it goes through that twice, but this one it goes through it 4 times, which is interesting. And then when it brings it back down, the way it kind of, the instruments just kind of take everything much more lower and more spread out. It makes it feel much more full and quieter during the which is not something that this song usually does. Usually they just continue with that high energy, but then they do those cool little pauses where they just kind of give you an extra couple of beats before pounding right back into it and doing all that weird extra stuff. Goodness gracious, this is fantastic.
When it did the break and it kind of gave that cut time thing, and then that weird it's so unexpected and it's easy to laugh at, but once it hits to the next passage, I was blown away. I thought it was just so good. They did such a good job here. Taking, the classic, and, well, we say classic now, I mean, this is, 91? It's a substantial classic at the time. Now it's, over the top, but to go ahead and do that to it was...
Yeah, I mean, we're talking
fantastic.
93, so this was, when was the first Akumajo Dracula released? I want to say 86? 87 in Japan, maybe? I gotta find out, because this was classic reinvention music. Though, like, all right, so we did Super Castlevania 4 last year, and the version of Vampire Killer in that is nowhere near as interesting as this one.
Right.
Why? See, the TV show is throwing everything off. You used to be able to type Castlevania and be like, here's the Wikipedia page about the video games. Now you type in Castlevania, it's like, here's the show. Like,
did you mean the show?
No, I meant Castlevania, damn it.
Because the show is the only thing that exists.
Yes.
So, just exists on its own. Don't know what you're talking about. Source material, never heard of it.
TV is more important. 86 was when this came out in Japan. So we're pushing like 86, or just shy of a decade.
Yeah.
So good times. They did phenomenal work. This is really exciting. Now I can't wait to hear where they go with everything else in here.
Yeah.
So the next track is called Creatures in the Depth. This is the boss music. I'm very curious what this is going to sound like. I have so few memories of this game. I remember playing it on PlayStation when it came out in 2001. So that's, 22 years ago now. And I have not touched this game since, other than to look at it and be like, man, I should play this again someday, and then just not do it.
And then not touch it whatsoever.
Not do it. I just put it back on my shelf. But yeah, so I'm curious how this is going to... What's the NES track, Poison Mind? I'm curious how this is going to be, if this is going to be similar to the boss music from NES Castlevania, or how different this is. Because if I'm looking at the rest of these track lists, and the rest of these songs are very much not from Castlevania 1. Like, I think one or two of them are, but I'm seeing stuff from all the way up to Castlevania 4 in here. So, let's see what Creatures in the Depth is like. Enjoy. Oh, that was some bossy boss music.
It's that ever bossed, right?
Yeah, that was a heck of a lot more intense than the original NES boss music for sure.
It definitely, you can definitely feel the ability of this system to really crank out some like impressive audio. Like those hits are, they're very punchy, like a kick drum would be, and I'm very impressed by them.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's more Genesis than Super Nintendo, you know? 'Cause
I'll
it's
agree.
not using samples, it's more using its, like, sound capabilities. But it's I don't hate it. I'm not unhappy about it at all.
No, absolutely. It's pretty cool, honestly.
It's
Again,
very-
this is I'm sorry to cut you off. This is definitely my first listen through of this soundtrack, so
Yeah, it's very video game, and I'm very curious I'm really curious how this is going to go from here. Like, because one of the things that I like about the Castlevania series is the way they reuse songs from previous games, and like, I know there's been stuff that's showed up in like that. Like we didn't do. I don't think we didn't do Haunted Castle, right? We skipped that entirely, mostly. Because
I believe so.
That game's terrible and its music's pretty decent, but it
should never be spoken of.
It's not called Castlevania or Akumajo Dracula, so I skipped it. Although that doesn't matter. we're not talking about Haunted Castle. Yeah. But music from that game has been repurposed later as well. So I'm curious if we're going to hear anything here that I'm familiar with from later games. But this one here, our next track is called Thrashard in the Cave. I don't know what a thrashard is, and I don't know what to expect from this song. So here we go. Here's Thrashard in the Cave from Akumajo Dracula for the Sharp X68000. Enjoy. Alright, that was Thrashard in the Cave, and that was really weird, because some of this, it has to be a direct reference in Symphony of the Night. When you start playing Symphony of the Night, when you play the intro where you fight Dracula, before you do the little intro fight as Richter against Dracula, there's a very brief part of it that's the stage, and some of this is that kind of that main riff, that do 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 do, like that is that is note for note how that song starts. But it's after that. So as soon as it started, I was like, "Oh my god, it's this song but then it changed. Then it was a totally different song, kind of built around that same motif, which was really interesting to me.
I mean, you said it before when, you said all the other games draw upon its predecessors. I would not be surprised if that was absolutely the case.
Just strange that they just took this one piece of it instead of taking the whole thing. What's that song called?
Well, while you look for it, you had me curious if thrashard was even a word, and the only place it shows up is a song by the band Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, DRI, and someone wrote an article July 22nd, 2023, and I don't know if this is, pertains, but I found it very interesting. I'm just going to put it out there. Thrashard by DRI depicts the raw energy and aggression of thrash metal concerts, specifically focusing on the experience of being in the pit. The song captures the excitement and adrenaline rush that comes with attending these shows where fans gather to slam, mosh, and thrash to the music. Now, I should have done this because I'm a very bad researcher. I should have looked this up real quick to see when this track came out, and it was released in 1989.
Huh.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe there's something. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's purely coincidental. Some food for thought.
Indeed. That is interesting.
Because while I'm reading that, I'm listening to this song and I'm thinking, this is kind of thrashy.
It is.
It's definitely got like the earmarks of like the early thrash. I keep saying trash. Thrash sound, right? So
yeah, like that has got to be a that's so weird to me. That is really interesting.
But you know something? This 03 prologue. What was it? Symphony of the Night, right?
Yeah.
Okay, from Symphony of the Night, which I think Symphony of the Night has a more edgy, more rock, more metal. Mm-hmm. This really sounds more like early thrash metal. So it'd be see now I don't know if I'm drawing invisible lines to things that aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know. I've cracked the code, Kris. I've cracked the code. I look like Charlie Day. She hasn't worked here in months. All right. Anyway, no, that's. I mean, you're absolutely spot on by saying this is the guitar line, this is the melody line, whatever. You got that one. That's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, I loved it. I thought it was really, really good because I guess it plays to my metal leanings. I don't know. No, but it's really good. It's very punchy and very like pushing and adrenaline. You know, let's go, let's do this thing, let's go. I dig that in some video games, like especially when done right. You know.
Right. Very, very Castlevania stage music. You know, that's well done. Really high energy, just fun to listen to. Good stuff. Well, it looks like we're getting back to some Castlevania 1 music here. The music for Stage 3 is Wicked Child, which is indeed a song from the original Castlevania. After how out of the park they knocked Vampire Killer, I'm very curious how this one's going to turn out. So let's give a listen to Wicked Child from Akumajo Dracula for the X68000. Enjoy. Well, that was certainly an interesting and unexpected rendition of Wicked Child.
Unexpected is absolutely the word.
What would like to just completely change the cadence of the song? What would you call that? Like
midway? I don't know. I think it's because of the way it bops. The first thing I think of is a carnival midway or.
Yeah, it's
something.
definitely boppier, right?
It's that bass, because the bass is like doom 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 doom.
Right, yeah. I mean, this is a really driving song in the original, and this is like just kind of boppy and off kilter in a very creepy kind of way. Like, it definitely works with the vibe of Castlevania. It's just, never would have imagined this song sounding this way. That's pretty fun.
I dug it though. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like the changes to it. But you know, again, I talk about this a lot. I like remixes and I like reinterpolations and stuff. It's always fun to kind of be listening to something and you go, "Hey, wait a second, wasn't that?" You know. So I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah, I had a really good time with it. I do wish it was a bit more dynamic. Just thinking about what they did with Vampire Killer and knowing how this song has a really interesting dynamic to begin with. It seems like they left a little bit on the floor with this one, but all in all, I did really enjoy it. It was a fun take on this song, and it seems like it would fit the stage pretty well if it's similar to the NES version's stage. Yeah, it's an interesting change of pace. Definitely not what I expected, and quite the fun take.
Yeah.
So, moving onward, we get to Bloody Tears. Now we're into some Castlevania 2 music here. Everybody knows Bloody Tears. It's one of the more famous Castlevania songs. So let's see what this game's rendition of Bloody Tears is like. Enjoy. Bloody Tears. I love that song. That's a pretty solid rendition of it. What'd you think?
I loved it. It was really punchy and like, I mean, that song's upbeat to begin with, but this, I think the timbre and the instruments and stuff, and it gave it an extra like pep in its step, and it made it, I don't know, more peppy for me. I'm dying. Sorry. The bass line was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But there's a part there where they were doing these bass bends, which were really funny to be like, boom, 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 and like it was like a little 5-year-old in me giggling. But otherwise, I mean, I don't mean to say otherwise. All in all, I think they did a fantastic job here.
Yeah, this is a pretty relatively straightforward rendition of it, but that's not a bad thing because it's a great song to begin with. Yeah, really high energy, like the instrumentation. I like the little bass bends like you were mentioning. I like just about everything they did here.
Yeah.
Good job. Good work. Solid tune.
Keep up the good work.
Let's see what the next one is. We've got Tower of Gears, Stage 5, because there's always a clock tower. So
I was going to say, yeah, I'm guessing this is the clock tower.
Let's give it a listen. Let's see if this is a song that I know or a song that I don't. Here we go. That was the Tower of Gears, and well, that sounded very clock tower. That sounded like the kind of music that would stress me out nice and good while playing a clock tower stage with a bunch of Medusa heads flying at me.
I was just gonna say, there's nothing more stress-inducing than the clock tower with the Medusa heads. Any game that has a Medusa head-like enemy, I'm immediately upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that snare drum was real intense. I was trying to, so the rhythm is a little off, right? You're listening to it and it kind of has its own, and I kind of got lost in it for a second, and I was just like so hyper focused on the snare drum that I kind of forgot the rest of the song existed. But yeah, it's really good actually. I'm a fan of it. I will say that snare is a little unnerving, if that's even possible. But all in all, it's good. It sounded familiar. But maybe because it sounds like a couple other things.
Yeah, I can't say there were any like actual parts of it that reminded me of anything else in specific, but it definitely, as far as tone is concerned, it definitely had a familiar feeling to it. But I couldn't really place anything specific in it like that other song. So, good stuff though. Good stuff. Let's keep it going. We got this next one is called Moonfight. Okay.
I'm gonna assume it's not a fight on the moon.
Or a fight where people are pulling each other's pants down.
Oh. Moon fight!
Let's give it a listen. Well, that was Moonfight. I liked that one a lot.
There was something about it that made me think of Streets of Rage, like the beach level.
Yeah, okay.
It's got to be those rising synthesizers. But that aside, it was good. I don't think it was my favorite so far, but it was good.
It definitely had a like the beginning part of it reminded me of Thriller. Like the bass line. So they had a very Thriller vibe to it, but then like I don't know, I really liked how it kind of changed to that more kind of major chordy thing. 'Cause, you know, that's really my that always speaks to me is major chords, but it had a very like 16-bit game or like 80s early 90s anime feel to it for some reason. I don't know, it made me feel really happy to hear it. I really enjoyed that a lot, so I thought that was great. I was really into that one.
Okay.
So the next one is another tower. We've got the Tower of Dolls. So this soundtrack is a Tower of Gears and a Tower of Dolls. Tower of Dolls sounds horrifying.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
Let's not look at this one, but let's listen to it. Let's hear what Tower of Dolls is. Enjoy. That was the Tower of Dolls. That one sounded very Sega Genesis to me. That bass sound was extremely Genesis, and boy, I can't put my finger on what that reminds me of. That was giving me some very specific vibes. No idea what though.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either, but again, I'm really starting to pay more attention to the drums of these pieces. They're pretty solid. Very synthetic, because I don't want to say synthesizer. I guess synthesized, but very drum paddy, but like good. Because I've heard a lot of bad drum pads, so I'm really impressed with the backbeats and stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty solid stuff, I must say.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this one. I thought was a very fun. Very fun song. Very Castlevania, really fitting into that kind of more modern Castlevania action-y sort of song. Very, very enjoyed that. Very enjoyed that. Without having to look at any dolls.
That's my favorite part, is not having to look at a bunch of creepy dolls.
All right, let's see. Next up, we've got Etude for the Killer. This is the music from Stage 7. I think that's how you say that word. E-T-U-D-E. Etude? 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 It's Etude for a Killer. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But let's listen to the song. Enjoy. Was a cool song.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to try to repeat that title, but boy,
it's pronounced etude.
Etude. Oh, all right.
And
Etude
it means It means a short musical composition, typically for one instrument, designed as an exercise to improve the technique or demonstrate the skill of the player.
Well, thank you. That was extraordinarily informative.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. And now knowing that, I definitely feel like that was an appropriate title. If not maybe a nod to the character, as, you know, Belmont uses a whip, and that's his instrument. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. I liked that section there where it's going and then it kind of trails off and another piece comes in, and beautifully executed.
Yeah, it was that was quite good. I liked where it faded from the one instruments to the other. Like, that part was really, really cool to me. It was nice. It was nicely dynamic. It went to various places, which I wasn't entirely sure it was going to when the song started. You know, I like it when you start listening to something and, like, I've got this figured out, and then you think about playing something this late in the game and it going to parts where the music is just that quiet is really, really interesting to me. It's probably a really good put you off balance while you're trying to concentrate on the on what's going on in the stage, which is probably very difficult by this point.
That's what I was going to say. Is I'm sure by playing and then you get that bit that trails away, you're kind of like, wait, what's happening? Wait, what? And you expect something, you know. And I like, you're right, like, to psych out the gamer. It's like, ooh, yeah, lots of fun right there.
Well, this next one is really interesting to me, and I want to take a look at this timeline one more time here.
Okay.
So this is Simon's theme, or theme of Simon. I've heard it referred to a bunch of times. Oh yeah, I guess this was 2 years later, and so this was the main, you know, first stage theme from Super Castlevania 4. This is just a phenomenal song, which I've seen. I've definitely heard this reprised in Castlevania Bloodlines, which I think is a really interesting version of this song. The original version from Super Castlevania 4 is one of my favorite Castlevania tunes, like, period. So I'm very curious what they did with this song, which is actually our second to last song for the episode. So let's hope it's a good one. I mean, I can't not be. I've never heard a bad version of Simon's theme. So here is Simon's theme from Akumajo Dracula from the Sharp X68000, originally from Super Castlevania 4 for Super NES. Enjoy. That was pretty great. That's definitely the version that the Castlevania Chronicles, the Castlevania Bloodlines one is based on. Because if I remember correctly, that sounds a lot like that, which I always thought was a really interesting reinvention of that song. But yeah, I'm just listening to the Genesis version right now, and it definitely does that thing where it starts off with the organ just like that. It's not as good as this version though. Like this Genesis one's all right, but it doesn't go quite as hard as this one does. They put a lot of love into that version. That was great. What a weird choice of bass instrument to play this song's extraordinarily weird bass line to begin with. Right, this one of the things that makes Simon's theme of Simon such an interesting song is how wild the bass line is. It's just all over the place. This is a really cool interpretation. I enjoyed the heck out of that.
Absolutely. To your point, this is probably one of the most iconic, Castlevania tracks ever produced. And they did nothing short of knocking it out of the park, honestly. This, I don't even know where to begin with it. Like, that opening, right? That organ sounds pretty big. Not massive like cathedral, but like a nice tiny church, and it just sounds full and rich. And then they just let that bass line come in, and it's a little, I don't know, pensive maybe. Pensive might be the word of the day here. And and it just does this great job of kind of going, like, if you're not familiar, like, all right, where's this going, and then it just rips, and it's so good. Just such a very good, and we've talked a bunch about the Genesis versus Nintendo, Super Nintendo, sound cards and stuff, and we're both kind of on the same side of that argument. But in this case, I think it really works in favor of the track. To sound a little more like the Genesis sound card. I think it works really, really well.
For this version of the song, sure. I mean, I
Right.
still I just listened to the Super Nintendo version right now. I still vastly prefer that version. Just because
no question.
that's what that was written for. But yeah, giving it this different reinterpretation through the X68000's unique sound it came out great. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Very impressed indeed. Super awesome. Which brings us to our last track, which I kid you not is called "You Goddamn Bathead."
Oh. Okay.
It's the last boss theme. What a great track name. I'm so curious if this is going to sound like any other final boss music from Castlevania series, but you just got to love that title. So anyway, here is "You Goddamn Bathead" from Akumajo Dracula for the Sharp X68000. Enjoy. Well, Matt, you goddamn bathead.
Wow. I thought we were friends.
When I thought about final boss music for a Castlevania game, I thought of many things. Record scratching was not one of them.
You mean it's not on brand? I absolutely love this.
I thought it was great. The record scratching was just a big unexpected. It seemed like I was fighting Dracula to the tune of CNC Music Factory, and it was I really wanted somebody to come out and like a woman to come out and like sing "I'm gonna make you sweat," or like "I'm gonna take you for a ride" or something.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot of jokes in my head. I'm just going to leave them there. Because it's just going to be me embarrassing myself, attempting to sing like Martha Washington. Anyway, she did all the stuff for CNC Music Factory.
Ah, okay.
She was one half of the, I believe it was the Weather Girls that did It's Raining Men.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay, sidetracking. Here we go. She had a big lawsuit against CNC Music Factory because all of her parts in the music video were, lip synced because it's a music video by an African French model who's, I'm not going to beat around the bush. She's like 90 pounds soaking wet. You know what I mean? She's very aesthetically pleasing to what a lot of people may consider. Martha Washington, however, is not. She's a heavy-set African-American woman with a fantastic voice, and she fought them hard, and she got her due.
Wow.
So, yeah. And that happened to her a lot, which is a real shame. Anyway, this song reminded me a lot of bands I'm sure you're not familiar with, but you may become familiar with at some point in the distant near future. My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult. They have a very... if you're familiar with the Crow soundtrack, there's a scene in a club. They're actually the band on the stage playing their own song. So it's very... there's like a funk element to this electro-industrial kind of stuff. And this song very much like rings all those bells for me. Especially that part where it's just the bass going... just the bass. Just that one moment of like... and then get back into it. Really good. Really, really, really good. This, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult is playing in my area on Halloween, and I've seen them twice already, and they're really great, and I'm considering going. I don't know yet. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what more to add to it. This is some pretty solid final boss music and pretty solid Castlevania soundtrack all in all. I'm glad I remembered to cover it instead of jumping right to Rondo, which I guess we'll be hitting up Rondo next year.
Something to look forward to.
Yes, indeed. We're all still here.
Yeah, God willing.
With that being said, what did you think of this soundtrack overall?
I gotta say, I thought it was fantastic. I'm a real big fan of it. I love being pleasantly surprised. Like I said before, I love reinterpolations, remixes, updates, reorchestrations. I love all that stuff, and this did not disappoint.
Yeah, this was some solid stuff. It's a great way to get myself in the spooky spirit, as it were. Besides, I've been listening to my Symphony of the Night vinyl I bought recently.
That's gotta be gorgeous.
It is, and that soundtrack's amazing. That's going to be, 2 years from now, I think, because it was Rondo and then that.
That sounds about right.
Rondo, Bloodlines. Oh, then we got Dracula X. I feel like we're going to have to speed this along. I want to get to Symphony of the Night sooner than later, but
don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, seriously. But, yeah, are we gonna get through all the Castlevania games? Or are we going to be doing this until we're like 50? Who knows? But
I got no plans.
That's true. I got nowhere to be. Well, that was fun, and that is our show. Join us next time. We'll be keeping up with our other October tradition with the 9th annual Spooky Special.
Yay!
Yay! I have no plans yet.
I have nothing. I have one song. One song in the chamber. And you know what? When it comes time to record, I will forget what that one song is.
Fantastic. I look forward to it.
Can't wait, right? Yeah, right.
Right. We've got time. This spooky special comes out on Halloween every year, so we've got time to figure this out, figure out when we're going to record it, and we'll get it done because the spooky special it's important.
For many reasons.
For many reasons, yeah. Well, this has been fun, and with that, let's do our closing routine. We here at the WaveBack Podcast are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. We have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a WaveBack chat where we frequently discuss all manner of stuff relating to video game music and whatever our next episodes are going to be. Of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com, and while you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. WaveBack and other Geekade podcasts are made possible thanks to the Geekade Patreon page. There, patrons can get access to a monthly podcast topic and recording schedule, get early access to most of Geekade shows, including this one, and more. If you've enjoyed our podcast over the years, follow the link in the description and give it a look. We really appreciate it. Finally, as always, be sure to check out all the other great content we have on our site over at geekade.com. We're going to leave you tonight with a song called Mother Earth, which is this game's end credits theme, as we are wont to do, and we'll see you in a little less than a month for a bonus episode for the spooky special. Thanks for listening, and enjoy.